"Remember me, cowboy. I'm the Apache girl you saved years ago. I've returned to marry you." People in town knew him as a quiet man who helped when needed and disappeared when thanked. He fixed fences, guided lost travelers, and protected land that was not even his. No one knew much about his past, and he never explained it. Every morning he woke before the sun. He made coffee, saddled his horse, and rode out to check the land. The desert was calm at that hour. The wind moved slowly and the sky changed colors little by little. The cowboy liked that silence. It matched the quiet inside him. Years ago he had learned not to stay anywhere too long. Staying meant remembering. Leaving was easier. In town, people sometimes tried to talk to him. The shop owner would greet him. Children waved when he passed. Some women smiled, but he never stopped. He was polite, never rude, but always distant. When someone asked where he came from, he simply said, "Nowhere that matters." But one memory mattered more than he wanted to admit. It had happened many years earlier, on a hot afternoon not far from the same desert. He had been riding through unfamiliar land, helping deliver supplies for a ranch. As the sun lowered, he heard a weak sound carried by the wind. It was not loud, but it was desperate. He followed the sound and found a young Apache girl lying near a dry riverbed. She was injured, frightened, and clearly lost. Her clothes were torn from the desert brush, and her face showed fear, but her eyes still held strength. She tried to stand but fell again. The cowboy did not hesitate. He gave her water, wrapped her wounds, and lifted her onto his horse. He rode carefully, protecting her from the sun and the rough path. She did not speak much, but she watched him closely, trying to understand who he was. When they reached a safer area near her people's land, he set her down gently. Members of her tribe arrived soon after. They were tense at first, protective and alert. The cowboy stepped back, hands open, showing he meant no harm. The girl spoke softly to them, explaining what he had done. The tension faded. The elders thanked him. They offered food, shelter, and rest. But the cowboy refused. He only nodded, mounted his horse, and left before the sun fully set. He did not give his name. He did not wait for gratitude. At the time, he believed that was the end of it. Years passed. The world changed in small ways. Towns grew. People moved. But the cowboy stayed the same. He carried that memory quietly, telling himself it was only one moment in a long road of moments. He never imagined it would return. Until one afternoon, when the past rode straight into his present. The cowboy was in town, standing outside the general store, tying supplies to his saddle. The day was busy. Dust filled the air. People talked loudly. He was ready to leave when he felt something strange. A feeling he had not felt in years. He turned slowly. A woman stood a few steps away from him. She wore simple clothes, but they carried meaning. Her posture was proud. Her eyes were calm, strong, and familiar in a way that made his chest tighten. She looked at him as if she had been searching for him her whole life. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Do you remember me, cowboy?" she asked. Her voice was steady, not angry, not unsure, just certain. He studied her face, the shape of her eyes, the strength in her expression. Then it hit him like a sudden wind. The desert, the riverbed. The injured girl. "You were just a child," he said quietly. She nodded. "And you saved my life." People around them slowed down, curious. The cowboy did not like attention. He shifted uncomfortably. "I only did what anyone would do," he said. "You should not be here." "I am exactly where I should be," she replied. She told him she had searched for him for years. She learned his path from travelers, traders, and stories passed between people. She never forgot his face, never forgot the way he protected her without asking for anything in return. He tried to interrupt her. He did not want this conversation. "Not here, not now." "You don't owe me anything," he said firmly. "Go back to your people." She did not move. "My people taught me that saving a life is sacred," she said. "They taught me that choices matter. I am here by choice." The cowboy felt eyes on him. He did not like being seen this way. He had spent his life staying unnoticed. "You don't understand," he said. "My life is simple. There's nothing here for you." She smiled slightly, not in a mocking way, in a patient way. "You live alone," she said, "but you are not empty." Those words unsettled him more than anger ever could. He mounted his horse quickly. "This conversation is over. I will not follow you today," she said calmly, "but I will not disappear either." He rode away, heart heavy, mind restless. That night he could not sleep. The desert felt louder than usual. The past he had buried so deeply had found him again, standing tall and unafraid. He told himself she would leave, that she would realize he was not worth her time. But deep down, he knew something had already changed. The girl he saved had returned as a woman with her own strength, her own purpose. And for the first time in years, the cowboy could not outrun what was coming next. The woman stayed in town after that day, even though the cowboy believed she would leave. He noticed her presence without meaning to. She did not follow him closely or force herself into his life, but she did not disappear either. Every morning when he rode into town for supplies, she was there somewhere. Sometimes she spoke with the shop owner. Sometimes she helped children carry water. Sometimes she simply stood quietly, watching the land as if she belonged to it. The townspeople began to talk. Some were curious, some were kind, others were unsure and whispered behind hands. The woman did not react to any of it. She walked with calm steps and lifted her head with pride. She never argued, she never begged for attention. Her strength was quiet, and that unsettled many people. The cowboy tried to avoid her, but it was harder than he thought. Each time he saw her, memories returned. He remembered the child she once was, scared but brave. Now she was grown, confident, and unafraid to stand alone in a place that did not fully accept her. One afternoon, he returned to his house earlier than usual. He hoped the long ride would clear his thoughts, but it did not. As he tied his horse, he saw her standing near the fence, waiting at a respectful distance. "I said I wouldn't follow you," she said before he could speak. "I only wanted to talk." He sighed slowly. "Talking leads to trouble. Silence leads to regret," she replied. He studied her carefully. She was not angry, she was not demanding. That made it harder to turn away. They sat outside, the desert stretching endlessly before them. The wind moved through the grass, carrying old stories with it. She told him about her life after that day. How she healed slowly, how her people cared for her, how the elders spoke of the man who saved her and vanished. She explained how she grew stronger, learning the ways of her people and the wider world beyond their land. "I was taught that debt is not a chain," she said. "It is a bridge." He shook his head. "I didn't build any bridge." "You did," she said gently. "You just didn't stay to see it." He told her he was not a man meant for promises or long roads shared with others. He explained that he had learned to survive by being alone. That every time he stayed somewhere too long, something broke. She listened without interrupting. "I am not asking you to save me again," she said. "I am not weak. I came because I choose you, not because I need you." Those words stayed with him long after she left. Days passed. The woman continued to live in town, helping where she could. She showed respect to everyone, even those who did not return it. Slowly, some people softened. They saw her kindness, her patience, her strength. Children began to follow her, asking questions. She told them stories of the desert, of survival, of choosing courage over fear. Still, there were those who did not approve. One evening, a group of outsiders came through town. They were loud and careless with their words. When they saw the woman, their tone changed. They spoke without respect, treating her presence as a problem. The cowboy heard raised voices from across the street. He told himself to keep walking. He didn't. He stepped between them, calm but firm. He did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He simply stood there unmoving until the outsiders backed away, uncomfortable under his steady gaze. The woman watched him quietly. Later that night she thanked him. "I didn't do it for you," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why it matters." That moment shifted something inside him. He realized he had acted without thinking, just as he had years ago. Protecting her felt natural, not forced. Still, he resisted. "You will leave eventually," he told her. "Everyone does." She met his eyes. "Then let me stay until that day comes." He could not argue with that. As days turned into weeks, they spoke more, not always about the past, sometimes about the land, sometimes about small things. She learned his habits. He learned her laughter, soft and rare but real. He saw that she did not need him to lead her. She walked beside him, not behind. That challenged everything he believed. One night, as the stars filled the sky, she spoke again of her purpose. "I returned to marry you," she said simply, "not as a debt, as a choice." His chest tightened, fear rose quickly. "I don't know how to be that man," he admitted. "I only know how to leave," she nodded. "Then learn how to stay." Those words stayed with him, echoing in the silence of the desert. He did not give her an answer. But for the first time, he did not ask her to go. And that was enough to change the road ahead. The cowboy felt the change before he fully understood it. He woke up each morning expecting the same quiet life, but something inside him was no longer settled. The woman's presence had become part of the town, part of the land, and slowly part of his thoughts. He did not invite it, but he did not push it away either. He tried to return to his old routine. He rode long distances, stayed away from town, and worked until his body felt heavy. But no matter how far he went, her words stayed with him. Learn how to stay. They followed him like a shadow he could not escape. The woman never pressured him. She did not repeat her request. She did not act hurt by his silence. That made it harder. If she had argued or demanded, he could have turned away easily. Instead, she respected his space while still standing firm in her choice. The town continued to watch them. Some people believed the cowboy was leading her on. Others believed she was chasing a dream that did not belong to her. The whispers grew louder as time passed. The woman heard them, but she did not react. She had faced worse in her life than careless words. One afternoon, the cowboy found her near the edge of town, repairing a broken fence with the help of a few children. She worked patiently, showing them how to tie the wire correctly, how to be careful, how to take pride in small tasks. The children listened closely. He stood at a distance, watching. For the first time, he saw what others were beginning to see. She was not just visiting. She was building something, even without permission. She brought calm where there had been uncertainty. She brought order without demanding control. Later that evening, he approached her. "You don't belong to this place," he said, not unkindly. She wiped dust from her hands. "Neither do you." That simple answer struck deeper than he expected. That night, he invited her to sit by the fire outside his house. It was a small step, but it mattered. They spoke quietly as the stars appeared one by one. He told her more about himself than he ever had, about moving from place to place, about learning that attachment often led to loss, about choosing distance as a way to survive. She listened, her eyes steady, her posture calm. "You learn to protect yourself," she said. "That does not make you weak." "It makes me alone," he replied. "Only if you choose it to," she said gently. The next day, trouble came without warning. A land dispute flared near the edge of town. A group of men claimed ownership over land that belonged to the Apache people. Tension rose quickly. Words turned sharp. Fear spread among those who remembered old conflicts. The woman stood firm with her people. She spoke clearly without anger, reminding them of agreements and boundaries. Some listened, others did not. The cowboy found himself pulled into the middle of it. He did not want to take sides. He hated conflict. But when he saw the woman standing alone, facing raised voices, something inside him refused to stay silent. He stepped forward. He spoke calmly, explaining the history of the land, the value of respect, the danger of forcing control where understanding was needed. His words carried weight. People listened because they trusted him, even if they did not always agree. The situation did not end perfectly, but it ended without harm. That night, the woman thanked him again. "You keep standing beside me," she said. "I don't know why," he replied honestly. She smiled softly. "You do, you're just afraid to say it." Her words scared him more than danger ever had. Over the following days, he pulled back again. Fear returned stronger than before. He avoided her, avoided town, avoided the future she represented. The woman noticed, but she did not chase him. Instead, she made a choice of her own. One evening, she gathered the elders of her people and prepared to leave town. She did not announce it loudly. She did not seek attention. She simply packed her things with quiet dignity. The cowboy heard about it from the shop owner. "She's leaving tomorrow," the man said carefully. The cowboy felt something drop inside his chest. That night, sleep would not come. The desert felt empty again, but not in a comforting way. It felt like something important was slipping away, and this time he knew it was his choice. Before dawn, he rode toward her camp. She was already awake, preparing for the journey. "You're leaving," he said. "Yes," she replied. "I stayed long enough to know my answer." "And what is that?" he asked. "That you are a good man who is afraid of his own heart," she said calmly. "I will not force you to choose me, but I will not wait forever." Silence stretched between them. For the first time in his life, the cowboy understood what was truly at stake. Not safety, not comfort, but the chance to build something real. "I don't know how to promise forever," he said slowly. She met his eyes. "Then promise today." The desert wind moved around them, carrying old fears and new hope. He did not answer right away, but he did not turn away either. And that hesitation, that moment of standing still instead of running, marked the turning point of his life. The cowboy stood there long after the woman finished packing. The sun slowly climbed over the desert, lighting the land with soft gold. In the past, this was the moment he would turn away, mount his horse, and disappear. He had done it many times before. Leaving was familiar, staying was not. But this time his feet did not move. The woman waited. She did not rush him. She did not beg. Her calm was stronger than any demand. That calm made him face something he had avoided his whole life. He was not afraid of her. He was afraid of losing her after letting himself care. "I don't want you to go," he finally said. She looked at him carefully. "Wanting is not the same as choosing," he nodded. "I know." They walked back toward town together, not side by side, but not apart either. The space between them felt honest. That day, word spread quickly that she had stayed. Some people were surprised, others were relieved. A few were unhappy. Tension did not disappear. In fact, it grew. The land dispute returned, stronger than before. Outsiders came again, this time with papers, loud voices, and sharp words. They wanted control, not conversation. They ignored the woman's calm explanations and dismissed her people's history. Fear spread through the Apache camp. Old memories of loss and broken trust came back. The woman remained steady, but the weight on her shoulders was heavy. She had returned to build a future, not to reopen old wounds. The cowboy watched closely. He had spent his life avoiding battles that could trap him, but now this was not just about land. It was about respect, about choice, about standing when walking away would be easier. The situation reached a breaking point one afternoon when shouting filled the edge of town. People gathered. Tempers flared. The air felt tight. The woman stepped forward, her voice clear but calm. She spoke of shared ground, of living side by side, of honoring promises made long ago. Some listened, others laughed. The cowboy felt anger rise, slow and steady. He stepped forward again, placing himself beside her. "This ends here," he said firmly. He spoke not as a fighter, but as someone the town trusted. He reminded them that peace was built by understanding, not force. That the land had room for everyone if respect guided decisions. He made it clear that harm would not bring victory. The moment stretched. Finally, the outsiders backed away, not defeated but stopped. That night the town felt different, quiet but watchful. The woman thanked him, but he shook his head. "I didn't do this for thanks," he said. "I did it because it was right," she smiled. "That's why it matters." Over the next days, the cowboy stayed closer. He helped her people repair fences, guide livestock, and settle disputes with patience instead of force. He listened more than he spoke. For the first time, he allowed himself to be part of something larger than his own survival. But fear had not disappeared. Late one evening, sitting by the fire, he finally spoke it out loud. "I'm afraid I'll fail you," he said. "I've never been good at staying." She looked at him, her face gentle but strong. "Staying is not about being perfect," she said. "It's about choosing again every day." Those words stayed with him. The town continued to change. People who once whispered now greeted her with respect. Children trusted her. Elders sought her advice. She never demanded acceptance. She earned it through quiet strength. The cowboy watched this with growing admiration. She did not lean on him. She stood on her own. That made his choice clearer and heavier at the same time. One night, news arrived that the outsiders planned to return with more people, more pressure. Fear returned quickly. Some townsfolk urged the Apache people to leave for their own safety. The woman gathered her people. She spoke calmly but firmly. "We will not run," she said. "We will stand without anger and without fear." The cowboy listened, his heart pounding. He knew this moment would define everything. When the outsiders returned, they found the town united. No shouting, no weapons, just people standing together. The cowboy stood at the front, not as a leader above others, but as one among them. The tension was heavy, but something unexpected happened. Seeing no fear, no violence, the outsiders lost their power. They left again, this time with no promise to return. The town breathed again. That night, under a sky full of stars, the cowboy walked with the woman to the edge of the land. The desert was quiet, just as it had always been, but he felt different inside it now. "I don't want to run anymore," he said quietly. She stopped and faced him. "Then don't." "I can't promise a perfect life," he continued, "but I can promise honesty, effort, respect." She smiled, her eyes warm. "That is all I ever asked for." He reached for her hand slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wished. She did not. In that simple moment, without ceremony or loud words, something settled between them. Not the end of the road, but the beginning of one walk together. The cowboy knew challenges would come. Fear would return at times. The world would test them. But for the first time in his life, he was ready to stay and face it. And the desert, once a place of escape, finally felt like home. The days that followed felt different, as if the land itself had settled after a long storm. The town moved at its usual pace, but something unseen had changed. People spoke with more care. They listened more. They looked at the woman and the cowboy not with curiosity anymore, but with understanding. The cowboy woke one morning and realized he was no longer counting reasons to leave. He still rose early, still rode out to check the land, but now he returned with a sense of purpose. When he looked toward town, he felt pulled instead of pushed away. The woman continued her work with quiet strength. She helped her people and offered help to the town without dividing one from the other. She showed, through simple actions, that respect could grow without force. Over time, even those who once doubted her came to trust her judgment. One afternoon, the elders from her people visited the cowboy's land. They did not come with demands or expectations. They came with calm voices and open minds. They spoke of balance, of shared futures, of choices made freely. The cowboy listened carefully. When they asked him what he wanted, he answered honestly. "I want a life built on respect," he said. "Not fear, not running." The elders nodded. They respected honesty more than promises made too easily. That evening, the cowboy and the woman walked together under the wide sky. The stars appeared slowly, as they always had, but now he noticed them more. He realized how many moments he had rushed through before, afraid that stillness would trap him. "I spent my life thinking freedom meant being alone," he said quietly. "And now?" she asked. Now I know freedom also means choosing where you belong." She smiled, not wide or loud, but with warmth that reached him deeply. The next weeks passed with steady calm. There was no sudden celebration, no grand announcement. Their bond grew through shared days, honest talks, and quiet understanding. They learned each other's habits, strengths, and limits. They disagreed at times, but they listened. They made space for each other without losing themselves. The town noticed. Children laughed more freely when they passed by together. Neighbors offered help without being asked. Slowly, trust replaced old fears. One morning, the cowboy stood at the edge of the land where desert met open sky. The woman joined him. They stood side by side, not speaking, letting the wind move around them. "I want to build something here," he said. "Not just for us. For everyone willing to share it," she nodded. "That is how strong roots grow." They chose a simple union guided by respect and shared values. There was no need for grand display. Both their worlds came together quietly. Elders spoke words of wisdom. Friends offered support. The land bore witness. The cowboy stood before her, steady and clear in his choice. He did not speak of debts or old promises. He spoke of the present and the future. "I choose you," he said, "every day." She answered with the same calm certainty she had carried from the beginning. "I choose you too." Life did not suddenly become easy. Challenges still came. Weather tested the land. Old tensions tried to return. But now they faced each test together. The cowboy no longer stepped forward alone. The woman no longer stood by herself. They learned that strength grew when shared. As seasons changed, the land began to reflect their efforts. Fences stood stronger. Paths became clearer. People worked side by side who once avoided each other. Small acts of kindness spread quietly without needing recognition. One evening, as the sun set low, the cowboy sat outside his home. The woman joined him, carrying 2 cups of warm tea. They watched the sky change colors. "Do you ever regret staying?" she asked softly. He thought for a moment. "I regret the years I spent running." She reached for his hand. He held it firmly, not out of fear of losing her, but out of gratitude for having found her. In time, stories began to spread beyond the town. Not stories of conflict, but of cooperation. Of a place where people chose understanding over control. Where a man who once avoided connection learned to stand still. Where a woman returned not to claim a debt, but to build a future. The cowboy heard those stories and smiled quietly. He did not feel the need to correct them or take credit. He knew the truth lived in daily choices, not words. On a clear morning, he rode out across the land once more, the way he always had. But now, when he looked back, he saw the woman standing there, watching him with calm strength and trust. He turned his horse back toward her. The road ahead was not empty anymore. It was shared. And for the first time, the cowboy knew he was exactly where he was meant to be.